Welcome. Today we delve into a time of conflict and chaos, a period of great upheaval in Japan's history, the Sengoku period. The Sengoku period, often referred to as the Warring States period, was a time of social unrest, a nearly constant military conflict. This tumultuous era spanned from the middle of the 15th century to the beginning of the 17th century. The country was fragmented with numerous regional lords or daimyos vying for power and dominance. Imagine an era where the old order is crumbling, and in its place a new one is struggling to be born. It was an era characterized by political intrigue, shifting alliances, and relentless warfare. But out of this chaos, this crucible of conflict, several noteworthy leaders emerged, their names etched indelibly into the annals of Japan's history. Among these leaders, one name stands out: Nobunaga Oda. Born into a minor samurai family, his ruthless ambition and tactical genius would soon catapult him to the forefront of Japan's political stage. His rise to power was anything but smooth, fraught with challenges and setbacks, yet he navigated these obstacles with an uncanny mix of ruthlessness and pragmatism. Nobunaga was a transformative figure, a visionary who saw beyond the immediate tumult and envisioned a unified Japan. His policies, as we will see, were not merely about consolidating power. They were about transforming the very fabric of Japanese society, laying the groundwork for the nation we recognize today. He broke away from tradition, implementing radical policies that challenged the established order. His reforms touched every aspect of society, from the economy to the military, from trade to infrastructure. He was a radical, a reformer, and a visionary. His policies, daring and innovative, would forever alter the course of Japan. Among these leaders, Nobunaga Oda distinguished himself with his innovative policies and strategies, forever altering the course of Japan. As we journey through this narrative, we'll explore 7 of Nobunaga's most significant policies that helped shape the Japan we know today. So buckle up for a trip back in time to the dawn of the Sengoku era. Firstly, we explore Oda's infamous sword hunt policy. This strategic move was designed with a singular purpose: to disarm the peasant class and consolidate power within the hands of the ruling samurai class. Imagine the audacity of it: the common folk stripped of their swords, their spears, their very means of resistance. It was a disarmament policy that reached far and wide across the lands under Oda's control. This wasn't an act of mere tyranny, though. It was a shrewd, calculated step. By disarming the peasant class, Oda significantly reduced the threat of rebellions. His rule became more secure, his power more absolute. The sword hunt was more than just a search for weapons. It was a hunt for control, for stability, for undisputed authority. The sword hunt was a masterstroke, securing Oda's rule and setting a precedent for future leaders. It's one of the reasons why Nobunaga Oda's name still echoes through the annals of history. Moving on, we encounter Oda's revolutionary free trade policy. Picture a time when Japan was a patchwork of territories, each with its own toll booths and trade restrictions. It was a merchant's nightmare, stifling commerce and economic growth. But Oda saw the potential for change. He abolished these toll booths and lifted the trade restrictions that were holding the economy back. Suddenly, goods could flow freely from one territory to another. Merchants found new markets and opportunities. Prosperity began to bloom not just in the wealthy cities, but in the smallest of villages. This was more than just an economic revolution. It was a unifying force, bringing together disparate territories and people under the banner of trade. Oda's vision of a connected, prosperous Japan was becoming a reality. The free trade policy was not just about economics, it was about unity. Oda's free trade policy was a game changer, spurring growth and unification in a fragmented nation. Next, we have Oda's Rakuichi Rakuza policy. This ingenious policy was a game changer in the economic landscape of Japan. It essentially dissolved the monopolies held by merchant guilds, allowing for an open and competitive marketplace. For the first time in Japan's history, small-scale merchants and craftsmen were given a fair chance to prosper, leading to an economic boom. The Rakuichi Rakuza, or free markets and open guilds policy, was not just about promoting competition. It was about empowering the common man, the consumer. By breaking the chains of monopoly, Oda made commodities more affordable, improving the standard of living for many. Moreover, this policy stimulated economic growth, bolstering Nobunaga's coffers and strengthening his rule. The infusion of wealth into the economy allowed for advancements in various sectors, from agriculture to craftsmanship. The Rakuichi Rakuza policy was an economic liberation, paving the way for a more equitable and prosperous society. This policy was a testament to Oda's visionary leadership and his commitment to equitable growth. Subsequently, Oda implemented the land survey policy. A masterstroke in his governance, this policy was aimed at achieving a more precise system of taxation and optimizing land use. By gaining an accurate understanding of the land under his rule, Nobunaga Oda could levy taxes more fairly and efficiently. The land survey served a dual purpose. It not only increased revenue for the state, but also facilitated better land management. An additional advantage of the land survey was that it empowered Oda to reward his loyal retainers with lands. This was an ingenious strategy to consolidate his power base. It instilled loyalty among his subjects, as receiving land was considered a high honor and a symbol of trust. This meticulously planned policy was much more than a mere administrative reform. It was a testament to Oda's foresight and strategic acumen. The land survey policy was a cornerstone for Oda's rule, securing his power and fostering loyalty among his subjects. Then, Oda introduced the Standardization of Measurements policy. In an era dominated by a myriad of local standards, this policy was a beacon of order amidst the chaos. By standardizing weights and measures, Oda created a unified system that allowed for smooth, efficient trade between provinces. No longer did merchants have to navigate through a labyrinth of varying units, a burden that had once slowed commerce to a crawl. The markets thrived, and with them, the economy of the nation. But the standardization didn't stop at weights and measures. Oda also introduced a standardized currency. This eliminated the confusion and potential for fraud that came with the multiple currencies previously in use. This policy, in essence, was an economic unifier, bringing together the disparate parts of a fragmented nation. It was a subtle yet powerful tool, allowing not just for economic prosperity, but also for a sense of national identity. The Standardization of Measurements policy was a subtle yet powerful tool, bringing order and consistency to a chaotic era. Lastly, we look at Oda's castle construction policy. A master tactician, Oda Nobunaga understood the importance of fortifications in asserting authority and ensuring defense. He embarked on an ambitious project of constructing a network of castles throughout his territories. These weren't merely defensive structures, they served a dual purpose. In addition to their military roles, these castles functioned as administrative centers. They were nerve centers of power, where Oda's rule was consolidated and from where his commands flowed out across his territories. Each castle was a cog in the vast machine of governance, turning in sync with Oda's grand vision for a unified Japan. These castles stood tall, their imposing structures a physical manifestation of Oda's unyielding will. They were symbols of his power, silent sentinels watching over the lands he ruled. The castle construction policy was a testament to Oda's strategic genius, securing his territories and asserting his dominance. In retrospect, Nobunaga Oda was a visionary leader. His reign, although marked by the tumultuous Sengoku period, was a turning point in Japan's history. His policies, radical for their time, reshaped the political, economic and social landscape of Japan, setting the stage for the nation's unification. Nobunaga's political reforms challenged the status quo. His sword hunt policy disarmed the samurai class, consolidating power in his hands and reducing the threat of rebellion. This move, seen as audacious then, was a critical step in centralizing authority, a necessary condition for the unification of Japan. Economically, Nobunaga's policies stimulated trade and commerce. By abolishing restrictive trade practices and establishing free markets known as Rakuichi Rakuza, he unleashed the economic potential of the country. His land survey policy, which measured and taxed land based on its productivity, ensured a steady flow of revenue to the state, thereby strengthening the economy. But perhaps the most tangible evidence of Nobunaga's legacy lies in his castle constructions. These imposing structures, built using standardized measurements, were more than just fortresses. They served as administrative centers, symbols of power, and the epicenter of cultural activities. Even today, these castles stand as a testament to Nobunaga's architectural prowess and his vision for a unified Japan. On the social front, Nobunaga's policies led to a shift in power dynamics. By empowering the merchant class and disarming the samurai, he disrupted the social hierarchy, paving the way for a society where wealth and commerce held sway. However, Nobunaga's legacy extends beyond his policies. His vision for a unified Japan, his audacity to challenge the status quo, and his relentless pursuit of power have left an indelible mark on Japan's history. Despite the turbulence and violence of his reign, Nobunaga's impact cannot be overlooked. Through his audacious policies, Nobunaga Oda forever changed the course of Japan, leaving a legacy that echoes through the ages.